Eons ago, 3 friends made a pact that they would get together on Zoom calls and watch anime. And sometimes they did, but mostly they just talked about anime and argued about anime and tried to decide which anime was the best one. And eventually, that got so heated that they put together a big spreadsheet in not Microsoft Excel, in the Google equivalent of Microsoft Excel, which I do not know the name of off the top of my head. Thank you, nerds.
I didn't have to say anything. Everyone else got me.
Yeah.
Google Sheets is great.
Google Sheets is great. It's a good program. We got together and we put together a list of the best 100 anime for each of us that we kind of just slapped together as quick as we could. And then we decided that we were going to watch all of them in order to figure out which one was the best one. And now we're in Tokyo, and this is the Tokyo arc. But first,
I'm Tristan.
I'm Miles.
I'm Geoff, and this is the quest for the best. I really should have read that from the script.
But we actually got the key-ins this time.
No, we did. That was actually much better. So we only missed that one. To be fair, and it's because I didn't do it.
Oh.
So Geoff has always made sure we get the key-ins. You've always made sure we get the key-ins. I'm just like, yeah, this is the podcast. Welcome, folks.
Get good, Miles.
Well, no. Honestly, I love a podcast with a lack of pretense. I don't think we've shouted out anyone or anything yet, but when we edit this, you'll see a sponsor right now. No. So today is a Tristan episode, I believe.
Yes, it is, because we're going to be doing Princess Mononoke.
We're talking about Princess Mononoke. What's before that?
We have our quest chun of the week, and this one comes to us from Yazy in Redacted, who asks if you could take a magic pill that erases one anime from your mind so that you could watch it again fresh, which one would it be?
Now, when we first potentially talked about this, Miles, you made the indication that me and you would have the same answer.
Absolutely. So I'd like,
and I think we don't.
I don't like knowing the question of the week before the pod, and especially in this case where I'm like, oh, Tristan and I are gonna have the same one, because we did talk about this many years before.
I think the best way to do this is I will count down.
No, don't do that.
And you say your answers at the same time.
No. Okay.
3.
Because I know it's not going to be the same thing.
2.
It's not. It's not going to be it.
1.
Clannad After Story.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Is it not? It's not Steins Gate. Steins Gate, half the fun is learning, like going through it. It is not as good on rewatch, which is actually why I'm surprised it's so high on your list. I know you're a big Steins Gate guy.
I am.
But I think
one of the biggest in the anime community, possibly.
And yet I did not get Steins Gate 0.
On that.
Flashback to previous episode.
I really like Steins Gate, but it is such an experience. It's exhilarating, right? The first 7 episodes, very slow burn, but it pays off immediately and to the point that you cannot look away.
Yes.
Like, I think I am a man of metal. I think I am a man of conviction. I think I can have balance in my life. But when I watched Steins Gate, I felt no sense of balance. There was Steins Gate, and nothing else was important until I finished it.
Yeah. Precisely.
It brought me along for a ride. I've tried to rewatch it. It doesn't work for me because I know what happens. And normally that's not a problem. There's a little bit more depth to what's going on.
I didn't have that problem at all. Not that, well, actually, yeah, no, I have rewatched it multiple times because I've seen it in both sub and dub. But also, after I watched it, I then played the original visual novel. And it is an extremely faithful adaptation of the visual novel such that it's the same narrative and same experience. And I did not have that problem. I enjoyed playing the visual novel just as much as I enjoyed watching the anime, even though I did it after.
Is that because you just really, really, really enjoy spending time with those characters, or do you like the story again the second time around?
I like all of it.
It is a pretty interesting story.
Well, no, it's interesting because you don't know what's going to happen next.
I mean, I would argue that it's metaphysically interesting, and like
Sure,
the mechanics of the time travel are very interesting, and the
about.
process of the process of them figuring it out is interesting, even if you know where it's going, because the logic is very interesting.
And I mean, also technically, the light novel does have about 3 things that weren't adapted properly into the anime, but are very
Do you want to go yell
But
at Cloud about that?
I could, but I'm not gonna.
We'll do that in the episode. But I mean, I do kind of get where Miles is coming from too, because there are those moments like when they're like, Akiba isn't real anymore? What? where like the of it all is a very big driving factor in getting you through Steins Gate. But like the characters and the world and the CERN conspiracy.
Well, that's why I liked watching Zero. I had a fun time watching more Steins Gate content with new story beats, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they are great characters. I'm not probably as fond of them as you guys are, but I thought it was a really lovely time. And I think it still, would probably make, if I had to make a short list of 100 anime TV series I really liked.
Like you did.
Like I did. I think it would show up there
Somewhere.
like it did in the 90s, maybe.
I don't remember how far down it was on your list.
Wherever it was on my, like, last summer when we were just like, hey, let's try and do this in one call, which we did.
We did.
We each made our rough lists, and you two don't update yours very much because it's really awful to try and do so.
My top 20 is accurate on that list still.
Great.
Mine's not.
No. Every time we talk, Jeff's like, oh yeah, that is one of my favorite anime of all time. And it's like not even on the top 100. Yeah.
No, it's not even. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine, which is why we're doing this podcast. We're
Precisely.
going to figure it out together as a family. Steins Gate's great. Clannad After Story, I don't know why, because you would say that also, because it's pretty good on rewatch.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that I wouldn't want to watch it again.
Not knowing what's going to happen.
Not knowing what's going
Is
to
it not
happen.
the delta between like the first watch and the rewatch is really what you're looking to maximize here?
I mean, potentially, but also like for the things that end up making me cry, with very few exceptions, Secret Base. It's very hard for me to cry again in the same way or to have the same emotional experience. With the only exceptions being more so less crying about the thing and more remembering the nostalgia of crying the first time through. And it's kind of a different feeling. So I would like to re-experience the actual experience rather than the memory of me experience. Does that make sense?
So it sounds like you don't have feelings.
No, not at all.
And you're just remembering a time when you did have feelings.
Precisely.
So I don't think this would actually help you if you could like remove the memory of this anime from your life.
Yeah.
And rewatch Clannad After Story. And I know we have been a bit harsh as a trio
on Jun Maeda.
On Jun Maeda and Keyworks, but I do really enjoy Clannad After Story.
It is peak.
It's the best of their work.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
But also, like, I don't think I'd lose any. I think I'd gain more from rewatching it. And I mean, for me, I would cry more when I have a more rich, fulfilled experience, which I would get from rewatching.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't rewatched in a long time, and I don't plan to until we do an episode about it.
Fair. I probably won't rewatch it again at this point, although I have seen it like at least half a dozen times.
Well, so that's the point. Yeah. So okay.
What?
It's been worth it for you to spend the
to rewatch it, yes,
4 or 5 hours each time.
But it is the difference between rewatching it, having already watched it like 5 times at the last time that I did it, versus watching it the first time.
Do you know I've seen The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou at least 75 documented times?
Hell yeah.
And yet
nothing.
I know.
And every time it is a wonderful experience. And I would never want to go back to a time in my life where I've not seen Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou by Wes Anderson.
Even though you could rewatch
times.
Even though you could
at least
then immediately watch it again.
I've done it before.
I know.
Can you Son Juan Peter Pan?
No,
The Life Aquatic with
I'm
Steve
a
Zissou?
fucking idiot, dude. I'm really dumb in the brain. That's why I've had to watch the movie 75 times. Like, oh, I forgot that happened. Wait, he dies? Oh my God. Then the zombies come on.
So, my answer?
Yeah, Jeff, I guess you can answer the question as well.
Okay. This will several episodes in a row. This will make several episodes in a row where I've said Baccano. Baccano, the experience of not knowing what's next on Baccano.
I love knowing what's next on Baccano.
Knowing what's next on Baccano is great, but to have that experience one more time of not knowing what's
But
next
I mean,
on
also,
Baccano
if you
and
don't know what's
piecing it together,
if you don't know what's next on Baccano, when it actually pops up and says what's next on Baccano,
You're
you
like,
can actually be like, I don't know.
What's next on Baccano? Indeed. No, but hold on. You both gave bad answers because how you are now in your 30s, Jeff. You watched Baccano as a
As a teenager. Yeah.
Why would you want to erase that? Like, would Baccano hit you as hard as a 30-something?
Yes.
As a first-time watch?
Yes.
Look, we are both diehard Baccano fans.
Mm-hmm.
But like...
Maybe it wouldn't because I hadn't seen all the Tarantino stuff and all of the, maybe you're right. So instead of Baccano, I think my answer that I want to go with is Higurashi.
See, that's it. Yeah.
Unraveling that mystery for the first time is such a rush. It's such a great ride.
Okay. Yes. But also,
it benefits from rewatching.
It does really benefit from rewatching. But I would love to be able to have my first time.
Tristan,
that's not my problem.
Uh-huh.
Higurashi is great. Higurashi is an amazing. That is a perfect answer. Except, if you forget everything about Higurashi, you do get the bonus of re-experiencing the greatness that is Season 1 and Season 2 of Higurashi. But then you also have to re-experience the absolute disappointment of everything else afterwards. And that is not worth it.
That is fair.
Yeah.
That is fair. But
do you know how I've avoided this?
By not watching.
That's all I've ever watched of Higurashi, yeah. It's been great.
Well, good for you.
I've only had good experiences.
I watched literally everything except the new season because I
watched a bunch of YouTubers who were telling me, don't watch this garbage. And I'm like, thank God they watched it, so I didn't have to.
I mean, the new season was actually really, really cool until it wasn't.
Yeah, precisely. And honestly, before it wasn't, it was just, brotherhood of Higurashi.
Yeah. I forget what is Kai, which I forget which ones are which already.
No, it's just original and Kai.
Original and Kai.
That's all you need.
That's all you need.
The original question and answer arcs, you're done.
And then Ko is the newest one, right? I think. So. And then what's the other?
There are a couple of OVAs and a bunch of other.
I mean, there's
a lot of stuff that's just like it doesn't need.
The OVAs are mediocre, but they're also like, they're garbage fan service for idiots.
No, they're like all it is.
I'm sorry.
All it is. Oh man, I wish I brought this up in a previous episode that we did. Because at one point in time, we were asked the question of what we would like a remake for. And none of us mentioned Yumineko no Nako Koroni.
So I actually was about to just bring up Umineko, but I'm an anime onlyer, and I love Umineko. So I am everything that's wrong with the world. I am the reason we don't have a good Umineko adaptation.
You are, absolutely.
I have not seen or read Umineko.
I have.
You want to know what the biggest...
I have the DVD-Rs in my, next to my desk where they've been for 20 years.
So I can explain my problem with it very simply. I own it on DVD. I think it's DVD. It's pretty sure it's DVD and Blu-ray. It's the big, gigantic, Aniplex stupid box. And when I watched it for the first time, I was watching the physical copies. I was watching the episodes. I finished an episode thinking, this is great. And then I pull the box out and I'm like, where's the next disc?
And that's the end of the anime forever?
Yes.
So it's like...
That's the best way I can describe it for you.
It's like if Higurashi ended with just the first season?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I would...
Yeah.
I would do something to myself I cannot say on any of the platforms where we are publishing this podcast.
And the thing is that the story goes beyond that because the visual novel exceeds that extremely, but they didn't adapt it. They didn't adapt it. But so had I would probably say from a narrative, because it's not an anime, because it didn't get adapted properly. From a narrative perspective, I would probably either do Yumineko, or now that we've added in narratives, I would want to replay Obra Dinn. But that's not...
Phoenix
Wright Ace Attorney for me.
Really?
I mean, actually, no.
No,
the third one. The third one.
Okay, sure. The first one does not hold up.
No.
The first one holds up pretty... I mean, the first one holds up a lot better than the second one.
No?
Yeah.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
But I would also say...
The third one's the first great one in a modern gaming perspective. The first two were great. And that's actually something I want to bring up about Umineko. Do you think... Again, I'm going to go back to 30-something Geoff.
You mean Higurashi, not Umineko?
Sorry, yeah. Higurashi. Do you think 30-something Geoff would be down for that?
Yes.
And I think yes.
Yeah,
so I'm not worried about
absolutely.
that. If I tried to watch Higurashi now, I'd be like, cool, nope.
Because of all the murder?
Because of everything. Because of the art style, because of there is a volume of moe that is unsettling.
Spoonful of moe
I mean, actually
helps the tragedy go.
I mean, actually,
down.
Higurashi
nice
is like a
phrases.
bowl full of moe, and it is.
It's like a fire hose of moe.
But it's intentionally designed to be unsettling. It is tapping into the unsettling parts of moe in order to throw you off more.
I'm not thrown off by that. Now that is just like alarm bells in my head. Like,
And you should have alarm bells with Higurashi.
I know, but I would not.
You would not
make
give it the
10
benefit
minutes.
of the doubt. Yeah.
Even if knowing where it's going or even being able to figure out where it's going, I would not give Higurashi 10 minutes right now if it was a first watch. I know myself enough to say this. I'm really glad I watched it when I was the right age and mind space for it. You will never stop being in the right age and mind space for it.
Absolutely.
This is a compliment, Geoff.
Thank you. I work very hard to cultivate and enrich my inner child. And my
We
inner
can call it
horny
that, yes.
teenager.
I was about to say, like edgy teenager, like Redditor, yeah.
I was
This is
not
the
a
third
Redditor
episode.
in
I know, but this is the
school.
third episode.
You weren't a
I've called
Redditor, you weren't a
Redditor.
4chan, or what were you then?
I was somebody who played video games and watched anime.
He was on
for
Xbox
fun.
Live saying slurs.
I didn't say slurs, but I was on Xbox Live a lot.
What was your gamer tag?
I'm not gonna say it.
There's a slur in it. There's a slur in it.
No, it just had. I will not say how many X's on each side.
You're one of those.
That's enough. That's enough. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We should move on before I ask you any more questions
So
about
we
this.
are going to move on. Our side quest for today is kind of a repeat question of the week, sort of, except instead of a question from our wonderful viewers and or friends, this time it is just a general question from me because I think that this question is very important for people of our stature to have a discussion on.
Mm-hmm.
And that is Charmander, Bulbasaur, or Squirtle. Which one will you choose?
I know which one I chose when I was a kid, and I would stand by that to this day. I want to hear your answers first, though. I mean, I'll just do it.
No, you go.
It's Squirtle. For so many reasons.
False.
Is your answer Charmander?
I have many
Are you
answers.
a basic? I don't know if I can say that. I can't say that.
You can't. First of all, you can't say that. Secondly, that would be Bulbasaur. What about you?
How
Miles?
is Bulbasaur the basic answer? That was the one that wasn't on the cover of the game.
No, you want to know why it is? Because Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle is your difficulty setting. Bulbasaur is easy mode because he wipes the floor with Brock and Misty. He will wipe the floor with Giovanni if you single him out through the entire game. He has Sleep Powder, which makes him catching Pokemon a breeze, and he has Razor Leaf, which is 100% crit chance. He is, objectively, from an efficiency perspective, the best starter to pick. But he is also the easiest starter to pick.
I mean, he's the easiest. He's the best starter to pick if all you're thinking about is the run through
video game.
The run through one of the easiest RPG campaigns in existence, even if you take the hardest starter. If you're thinking about competitive Pokemon, Charmander is objectively the best one to pick for his stat line.
Even in Gen 9 or whatever?
We're talking only Gen 1, though.
In Gen 1, he's got he's got a really good special attack line.
Yeah.
Special attack doesn't exist.
And if you want to, it's
just special.
No, it's special
It's just
attack and
special.
special defense, which is why he's the best, because his special is.
I thought you picked Squirtle.
I picked Squirtle because Squirtle is rad. He's got those sunglasses.
Yeah, Squirtle Squad.
And then
forever.
the Squirtle Squad
Squad
forever. Yeah. And then Blastoise is a big turtle with two cannons on his back. That's the coolest thing that 5-year-old me had ever seen.
Yeah, but that's because you had apparently never seen a giant dinosaur with a giant flower on his back. Come on, let's be real here.
Venusaur is also pretty cool.
Venusaur is incredibly cool.
Venusaur is incredibly cool.
I pick Bulbasaur every time. Listen.
So this is actually perfect.
I picked Squirtle as a child. Then I picked Charmander.
Mm-hmm.
Charmander is the
flipped
try-hard
version.
option.
You're just saying things at this point.
I am. I'm trying to get us canceled.
Ivysaur is still like the perfect middle evolution. Like Wartortle. Who wants a Wartortle when you could either have a Squirtle or a Blastoise, right?
Nobody's going to stick with Wartortle, except for those weird people.
No, you have to be an absolute contrarian to care about Wartortle. I'm sorry. Like, it's just not a good Pokemon.
Yeah, no. His ears are so stupid.
And the
all the things.
The cloudy tail, like, it just doesn't jive.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
How does it go from like a little bloop to being a big whoosh and then going bloop again?
It's one of those of like, why would you do that when the entire Polytail line exists?
I mean, they were kind of thinking of like the like crest of the wave and then the wave.
No, so to be honest, I
understand the aesthetic.
I'm saying this as a Wartortle enjoyer, right? But like, it's just not. If you compare to Squirtle and Blastoise,
he's objectively the dumbest middle stage out of all of the Gen 1.
And Gen 2 and Gen 3.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite Gen 2 is Totodile, and I'd say Croconaw is pretty...
Croconaw's...
What's wrong with Croconaw?
Croconaw kind of rules.
Croconaw's super cool.
But I mean, it's kind of the same gap where like Totodile is so adorable and Feraligatr is so the coolest Pokemon that's ever existed because he's literally Godzilla. That like Croconaw kind of falls in the.
But Croconaw, you get a little both.
Yeah, he's Croconaw does. Yeah,
Wartortle, you don't get a little both of Squirtle and Blastoise. It's kind of my problem. But like Ivysaur is for Gen 1 is the perfect in between, right?
Yeah, but Ivysaur is definitely the best of the middle evolution.
And
Charmeleon's really boring, but not as boring as Wartortle.
I'm a big middle evolution guy, so like an Ivysaur. Probably my favorite Pokemon that's not Sudowoodo.
Well, I mean, being a middle evolution guy is just the right way to go because then you stop at Dragonair.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dragonair's
peak.
Do you guys buy into the theory that Gyarados and Dragonite were swapped?
No.
At some point in development?
Like, no? I could see maybe some argument that Gyarados was supposed to come after Dragonite, but I don't see Magikarp going to Dragonite. I don't see that.
I mean,
I see
to Dragon.
I see Dragonite in Dratini very clearly. It's just
you're right.
It's a little bit of a stretch if you don't know like a lot of biology and you haven't seen a lot of those types of animals like develop. And also, it's a dragon, so it's all fantasy anyway.
Yeah,
I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like the whole line. I do actually like Dragonite. Dragonair's certainly the best of that line, but Dragonite's
rules.
Cool too.
Dragonite rules.
I really come around on him, especially when he's a mailman. That's a good job for him.
It is.
And if I
precisely.
think so, like the problem with the framing of this question is that I don't care about which starter to choose from the perspective of I'm playing a Game Boy Color game.
Yes.
In the year 2025.
Cool.
I don't care about that.
No. It's not worthwhile anymore.
I care about it from the perspective of if this were me.
Yes.
If Pokemon were real,
yes,
and I could have those experiences,
yes,
why would I not want to ride around on my giant Venusaur?
Because I would rather fly around on my giant freaking Charizard.
And I would rather surf around on my cool ass Blastoise.
Come on in, guys.
No, but that's the thing. I mean, I was ready to be a contrarian, and I could actually defend all three because I really wanted this. But I'm actually happy that I'm stuck on. Well, not stuck because. Objectively, I believe he is the best pick. But also because I am the guy who, if you want to look it up on the internet, I actually have a full run of Pokemon Red, where I played the entire game with just my starter. Now, granted, I did have to take a couple of things because Charmander, that line can't use all the HMs in order to get around. But for every single battle, from Brock all the way through to the Elite Four, I only had my Charmander up to Charizard, and I beat the game. And I didn't feel like I had to grind or try hard in order to do it.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying
Charmander's great.
I'm not saying you have to try hard. I'm saying that Charmander was the
pick. It was the hard mode of the game.
No, but it was also the pick for the try-hard kids who wanted to win at Pokemon competitively.
I've never cared about competitively on the
That's
playground.
Fair. You're a good person who just likes a cool dragon.
Honestly, on my playground at least, if people wanted to do competitive Pokemon, they would be playing Pokemon cards. Not
Pokemon
actually, because not as many people actually had like Game Boys and link cables. Heck, when I played the game for the first time, I used an emulator. But
and also the real try-hard Pokemon's Alakazam, because it was just objectively the best Pokemon in Red Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Just
I mean, me too.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Yeah, I mean you can't use Mewtwo in a lot of modes, but
Again,
and
competitive. I never
actually,
cared.
I think Alakazam is stronger. If I'm not
Higher special attack, nothing else.
higher
Or higher special. There's
no, but that's what matters. Special is the most broken stat in
Gen 1.
right. But
in
if
Gen 1.
you can get one-shotted by a good physical attack. It's a problem. Where
Yeah.
Mewtwo cannot.
Yeah, but
Glass cannon.
No, but
Not a glass cannon because he only has like one weakness.
no, but the thing is, I'm pretty sure Alakazam has higher speed than basically anything that could get a physical attack that would kill him in.
Yeah.
And therefore, just mathematically, Alakazam. I'm
sure
the try-hardest out of all of us when it comes to Gen 1 competitive, just for knowing it. But yeah, no, I respect. It's a cool dragon thing for you.
which is also
and also, like, I think philosophically, we all agree HM slaves don't count.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the rule of Pokemon forever.
It's rude, but it's not real.
I mean,
it's a video
ideally,
game.
if you're building a team, I like to have like a proper HM covered in my entire team, so I don't need to have an HM slave. I like to be able to cover that balance, but I also understand, because every Pokemon only gets 4 moves, that you kind of sometimes don't want to waste one of those on.
Especially not if you're going to play multiplayer later.
Which I never am, so it's perfectly
fair,
fine.
But like Surf is the only good HM.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also like talking about Gen 1, because as soon as you start talking about Gen 2, then I can just make an entire party of Eevee, and that's what I do. Every game. All the time.
Because there's enough Eevees? Yeah, that's a valid...
You know, there's like 245 other Pokemon you can use.
I know. But I like
and
both.
many of them are better than...
I know all of them are better.
Not
do you
better,
think that I would choose Flareon, the worst fire Pokemon in the history of Pokemon, if it wasn't for the fact that their design slaps?
Currently in Scotland somewhere right now, there is a DS with my EV bred, IV trained, or other way around.
Yes.
All ghosts team that can beat competitive OU teams from Gen 4.
Yeah.
In a Gen 6 game or 7 game. Whatever the latest one was at the time. And it's in like some Scottish custom somewhere, and I miss my Pokemon.
That sucks
so I understand the desire to have an imperfectly balanced team.
I mean, but
I was a very good gym leader.
There was
at my
one
college.
gem. There was one gem that I did an all ghost team. I can't remember. What was the first gem with Mimikyu in it?
That's Sun and Moon.
Was that Sun and Moon? Okay, then yeah. My copy of Moon has an all ghost team on it.
That's a pretty good one to do an all.
It was. That's why I did it. Well, because also you could get a starter that third evolution. The owl. Owlet. Rowlet.
Yazy is staring daggers into you.
That's my son.
This is why though that they're great, because third evolution they're ghost.
Do you have a picture of the Rowlet shelf that you can send to Tristan to edit into this episode? Because the people need to see the Rowlet shelf. That is her son.
Okay. Great pick. Definitely my pick for that gen, which is also why I made an entire ghost team based around it.
If you go to Ikebukuro now, you know Ikefukuro, the Ikebukuro owl.
I have seen it.
You have seen the Hachiko of Ikebukuro is a statue of an owl.
Oh, cool.
And in Ikebukuro Sunshine City Poke Center, which is I think the biggest Poke Center in Tokyo.
Yes.
They have a plaza with a bunch of different Pokemon statues doing cool things, and one of them is Ikemukuro, the Rowlet, because Rowlet's name is Mukuro, and it's
That's
very
really
cool.
rude that they named Murkrow and then they have Mukuro.
Murkrow's not called Murkrow in Japanese, I don't think.
That makes sense because neither murder nor crow are relevant words in Japanese.
Yeah,
it's actually Murk.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
that's murky.
Murder of crows, Murkrow.
I see where you got that.
From?
I definitely see where you're coming from. It's the K that makes it Murk, not murder.
Sure.
But
I learned something new today.
Valid. What's your favorite starter overall?
Yeah, just Bulbasaur still.
Pretty valid.
Eevee. I'm the guy that did an entire Eevee gen for like 3 different gens.
So you are taking your favorite starter from...
Let's go.
Let's go Eevee.
No, I'm taking my starter from a ROM hack version of Pokemon Yellow, where I swap my Pikachu for an Eevee and have forced the Pikachu on Gary Oak through the entire run. Yes.
My name is Tristan. I love to be technically correct about things, but then say, "Oh yeah, this ROM hack is my favorite Pokemon game."
Precisely.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. And for
But
me-
also, like, I can't say that it's my favorite from Pokemon Let's Go Eevee because I've never played Pokemon Let's Go Eevee.
We gave you an out though.
You
here.
did. But I haven't played it. I should, but I haven't.
and you already know mine.
Is it still Squirtle?
No,
Is it Totodile?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
okay.
yeah. We knew that. We did know.
I mean,
that.
I'd pick Cyndaquil every time I'd play Gen 2, but still.
That's fair. Cyndaquil is awesome. Actually, so's Chikorita to Meganium. Meganium.
Actually, my first run of Gen 2, I picked Chikorita.
Yeah, Meganium's like super cool.
I've played all three of them, but also
Yeah.
because Gen 2 is my favorite gen,
And I mean, like, you know,
despite the problems with Gen 2.
in terms of competitive, I think for alligators actually like one of the worst of all time. Because the typing of water and dark is just
Again,
not
I don't
good.
care about
But,
competitive Pokemon.
he's Godzilla. He is literally Godzilla.
when you say literally, I don't see his atomic breath or electric tail. I don't see he has a son on an island that speaks Japanese.
Due to international copyright laws, it's not Godzilla. Still, we should run like it is Godzilla, though it isn't.
And now that guy's trying to produce anime. How times have changed.
Precisely. And
Did
with
you
that,
know?
Did I know what?
No, this is a tangent I'm not willing to take any longer.
Never mind.
I regret everything.
Immediately.
I was going to tell you a 15-year-old story about how much I like Goldfinger.
That's
Let's not do this.
Austin Powers rules though.
It does.
Okay. So with that in mind,
Did you know that they had Beyonce in an Austin Powers movie? How great was that?
That ruled.
Love
I-
Beyonce.
I mean that entire trilogy just it's good.
They had Michael Caine as his dad. That was almost as brilliant as having Sean Connery be Indiana Jones' dad.
Yeah.
Like that's like at the same level.
it is
Yeah.
Did you know Michael Caine's in both versions of the Italian game?
the Italian job.
Italian Job? Yeah.
Wait, where is he in the second Italian job?
He's the mentor figure.
He's not.
The
Oh,
one with the
oh.
Mini Coopers.
Yeah.
It's not Michael Caine, it's the old guy in the Italian
No.
Job.
I haven't
That
seen
is-
the Italian Job. I'm sorry.
Oh, the name of him is absolutely bothering me.
Am I completely making this up?
No.
Did you know in the first one, the fact that the bus is teetering on the edge at the end of the movie is because the British censors wouldn't let the bad guys win?
It's Donald Sutherland.
Oh, it is Donald Sutherland, but he is in the movie somewhere.
Is he?
Michael-
I'll have to
Pretty
look
sure.
it up.
Michael Caine. In the end
Michael
of
Caine.
the original,
the greatest Scrooge of all time.
at the end
No,
of the
absolutely. It's the greatest Scrooge of all time.
he's extremely good. At the end of the first Italian Job, they have the
Oh,
bus
except for maybe Patrick Stewart.
teetering.
No.
But I don't know if you would
Pat-
have experienced that. Anyway,
Piece
Michael
2 is
Caine.
very good.
Patrick Stewart's-
It's actually like a very good
I
legitimate adaptation. Not that the Muppets are anything less than legitimate.
No,
Please,
I'm
you
just
know,
saying-
you know better than
I'm just saying Michael Caine is like
teetering on the edge of the cliff because the censors would not allow the bad guys to win, but the film director, they really wanted the bad guys to win, so they said, let's just give them plausible deniability. And you know what? I'm so glad we don't have things like the Hays Code or the British censors, though the British censors still are taking away your anime occasionally.
and they're trying to bring those codes back, it feels like.
They're not going to.
You never know.
Let's talk about Princess Mononoke.
Let's talk
So,
about Princess
Princess-
Mononoke.
Mononoke. One of I shouldn't say that because that's gonna go down an entire
This is
freaking
we'll
thing.
we'll get to that. This is your turn. This is your week.
I know it is my turn. It is my week. Princess Mononoke is one of, but not the favorite Ghibli movie of mine. And the reason why, it is because this is the film, for me, that I watched as a youngin', that this is when I realized what anime was.
Mhm.
Because I had watched Sailor Moon, I had watched Pokemon, I had done all of that, but then when I was in grade 9 in high school, and I watched Princess Mononoke at Anime Club, and I was like, oh, this is a thing. I like this thing. And now I realize how different it is. Because instead of having all of those, hey, we can put this on television at 4 p.m. and be perfectly fine. Instead, hey, here's a movie with a main character that has a bow and arrow that can shoot a guy's arms off immediately. And you can see them kind of flagging about, holding a sword. I know. I know. Such a great film.
Your first taste of what the generation before us got when they picked up that cool cartoon with the ninjas from Blockbuster.
Or Armageddon.
Or Armageddon.
So, I mean, we talked about Princess Mononoke briefly earlier.
We did.
In our show's history. And
yes.
you and I have very similar backgrounds with it, where it was not only like a pivotal and critical title in terms of me becoming an anime fan, but it was an early favorite movie thing in the world for me for many, many years. And yeah, when I was in middle school, the violent action was unbelievably cool. Like, I could not understand how such a thing was allowed to exist, where I could still have animation that was capable of entertaining and enthralling me as I was becoming more jaded towards children's programming.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And I am very grateful to Princess Mononoke for that. But really, that early sequence where Ashitaka is like killing the villagers or the like rogue samurai. The Ronin.
The Ronin bandits.
They're Ronin, I'm pretty sure.
Because later he does fight samurai from the Emperor, but that's separate.
That entire sequence is very instrumental to making a lot of people into the people they are today, because it's just like, wow, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I will say, all these years later, that sequence is still one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
The animation is so visceral and brutal and disturbing, and you see bodies slump in a way that this is where animation is why we love anime, right? The bodies slumping off the horses is more visceral and real than when you see an actor do that.
Yeah. And
especially because it doesn't have a Wilhelm scream.
Yeah.
And it's really incredible how like that scene, like the visceralness and the shockingness of it, you know, if it was from a different director, that would just be a gratuitous thing that they did because they think it's awesome.
5 more minutes of Ninja Scroll.
Which we
still love.
Ninja Scroll. Love Kawajiri. But Miyazaki is not a murder pervert. Miyazaki is the opposite of a murder pervert. Miyazaki is hippie peacenik war hater. And like that
But he really likes military planes though.
Yeah, because they're awesome.
The contradiction of man.
I love that direction, or that like in the documentary where he's like, I don't really think of myself as an otaku. And then Anno's just talking. He's with his friend Hideaki Anno playing technically accurate toy planes. Is he, doing the like, and it's just one of the great. That editor deserves an Emmy for their NHK documentary. They deserve an Emmy. But what I really love about that scene is it is like it comes as much as of a shock to Ashitaka as it does to the audience. Because that's his first discovery of like, oh damn, this curse mark gives me super strength. But it is also like an expression of the themes of the film that it is the power of hatred, like literally raw, calcified, soul eroding hatred that makes his bow into something that just obliterates life with a single touch.
And he doesn't like it.
And man, there is some great visual storytelling with how good Ashitaka is at killing people at various points in that story. And I mean, we'll get to, later, but like that scene is incredible.
It is.
If I had seen it at a more formative time, I definitely would have like embedded deep within me. And it still is one of the greatest action scenes I've ever seen in my life. Like, no question. But like,
well, and that's one of the things, not only because this movie is so personally important to me, but because even compared to the other Miyazaki films, the animation is embedded in my head. I can sit down and picture every moment of this movie, which is something I cannot even do for The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou after watching it 75 times, because it is the most animation. It is the animation that sticks with you, that means something to you, that reaches out and massages the parts of your brain that say, this is important. This means something.
Like the counterweights and the pulley on the gate of Irontown.
Or watching Billy Bob
Irontown.
Thornton just stir around the soup.
Yeah, or the bellows.
Or the bellows.
Or when you see the spirit of the forest the first time across the lake.
Such a good freaking movie. This is why I picked it.
Yeah, no, it's I mean,
we need to well, I mean, there are a lot of Miyazaki things that we need to talk about, but I wanted to start with this one because of what it meant to me in getting into anime in general, even if it is not my favorite Miyazaki film.
It's a great choice.
Yes.
And I mean, I think it's like one of the most valid picks for favorite Miyazaki film.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's definitely top 3, I would say, for Studio Ghibli of all the stuff they've ever made.
I mean, I think it has the most for the most people.
Yeah.
So like I will be up front, and maybe I'm jumping ahead here, but I'm a Porco Rosso guy. It's my favorite Miyazaki film. It is exactly what I'm looking for in a piece of entertainment.
I think Porco Rosso is the best thing that Ghibli has ever made by a pretty wide margin. You guys not just both, because it's extremely based.
You guys both already know this, but I am repeating it for the sake of repeating it. I would like to get off the Porco Rosso topic only because it's the only Miyazaki film I haven't seen, with reason.
Yeah, because you are saving it.
I am saving it.
The same way I am saving Vinland.
Yes, for a very, very rainy day. It'll be a very depressing day when I have watched it, but also hopefully a very fulfilling day.
Or a day that we do the podcast episode on it.
But my point being...
inevitably that's going to happen.
Yeah.
My point being that with Princess Mononoke, Porco Rosso does something for dudes like me and Geoff. Princess Mononoke does something for dudes like me and Geoff, but also literally everyone else. There's something here for everybody. It has a tender, if underexplored love story. It has just so much magic to behold. Like, one thing that so many people do love about all of Miyazaki's films is the sense of wonder that they inspire. And I think Princess Mononoke does that as good as Spirited Away, which is usually the one-sided in that regard. But like, I think Princess Mononoke's world building and just like
much richer and more politically complex.
I have an axe to grind against Spirited Away in general, so I would put both Mononoke and my actual number 1, which is Laputa, above that.
Which is also my actual number 1.
Yeah.
High five. But
I can't speak to Porco Rosso, so
right.
Like, even though I think that Porco Rosso is the best film that they've ever made, I think Laputa is my favorite. It's deep in my soul, and I think it's another one of those texts.
But when I talk about my favorite movies of all time or my favorite anime movies of all time, usually Ghibli doesn't make it is present but not well represented, considering how popular his films are and how wonderful they all are. I mean, specifically Miyazaki, like Takahata has some greats as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which we will get to in due time.
Man, I really hope that I know we will, but I really hope we get to like the pre-Ghibli shows.
I mean, we're going to have an episode.
Movies.
We're going to have an episode on Cagliostro.
No, not just Cagliostro.
No,
I'm talking about, Heidi.
Conan is really what I want to talk about.
Future Boy Conan, I really want to do, but also
we're gonna do
Sherlock Hound.
Hell yeah, Sherlock Hound.
We're also going to do Anne of Green Gables.
Anne of Green Gables for sure, and
especially because now
Shirley's coming out. But I mean, also, what was I'm forgetting the name of all of the different Takahata movies that he did at Toei with Miyazaki under him. Really want to talk about those too. There's just everything that these geniuses have worked on, and Lupin. We got to do Lupin.
No complaint from me.
Yeah, no, we're doing Lupin.
But I bring this up to say, when I do bring up films from Miyazaki,
yes,
really, there's a reason why Princess Mononoke is on my short list and so many other people's, and it is that like it has the everything, something for everyone. That does mean not just the rich story building, or I mean, rich world building and the story and the characters, but it feels epic in a way that only really Nausicaa does from his lineup.
Yeah.
And The Wind Rises, like those are the only two movies I would consider epic within the Ghibli catalog.
I would say Laputa, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Laputa's
But
like
in a different
But you guys know what I mean. Like this movie is all the like different categories in which you could say this is why I love a Miyazaki movie. Then
It's here.
Yeah,
it's all present here.
Yes.
it's got the fun, like engaging action. It's got really, really great romance at its core. It's also got, separately from that, one of the greatest toxic Yuri ships that I think anybody could ever conceive of.
Hell yeah.
High five.
So-
That was the worst position.
I mean, like, I'm like, yeah, we were trying to go like through the mics.
I wasn't.
So this movie is so sympathetic into so many different types of guy.
Yeah.
Even to the Billy Bob Thorntons of the world.
Yeah.
But I will say that the most confusing, not compliment, the most impactful statement is Zach Birchie once said, "You remind me of Lady Eboshi." And like, that is, I've never had anyone say anything to me.
We both see it too. It's just why we're like,
I've never
It
felt
hurts because of how true.
I've never felt so much from being compared to a fictional character before, since, or after.
Oh,
It is just like, not only did I get complimented, but I really got burned, and
Yeah.
I got my humanity just put on display, and I'm sharing it here with all of you because that was on a podcast that never ended up getting published.
No?
that's a
But he-
big shame.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Zach. Love you, man.
Yeah.
But I was just like such a statement of like, oh no, yeah, I get, you know.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's able to inspire so much feeling from me thinking about that, and from you guys of like, oh, like what a statement, tells you how complex Lady Eboshi is and how wonderful of a character she is. She's in the movie for less than 20 minutes, guys.
I can believe it.
This is a character that's in this movie, like on screen for the running time of an episode of TV anime, and she is such an impressive and unbelievable force within pop fiction as a result of this movie.
Yeah.
Like, this is like Hannibal Lecter being in like Silence of the Lambs level of like what an outsized influence she has.
Yeah. I mean, there's a really good video essay about her. Lady Eboshi is wrong.
And
Um,
one of the reasons why I like this character so much is there are so many moments of Lady Eboshi that she is framed as a villain,
She is.
but there are so many moments of her that show such genuine kindness and empathy towards others, and all of her
Pretty
actions
much all of Irontown, yeah.
are
Yeah.
so well justified, even though they are fundamentally wrong.
Yes.
you know,
Just like me working in the capitalistic system we live in.
Yeah, pretty much.
which I mean, you know, the thing is, Miyazaki would also probably feel the exact same way about taking that comparison. And Miyazaki would probably also, like, you know,
You're not wrong, but
yeah, he's
it's
like,
a lot. It's a lot
son
to
of a-
take in.
It's a lot to take in, but I mean, Lady Eboshi is super complex, and also, like, I mean, I do think she kind of represents Miyazaki as someone who's like trying to like create something great for her people while working within the system and doing what she can, but also, you know, to a certain extent, she wants power, and you know, like, she's very complex. But she's like, one of the most interesting things about this movie is the 3-point conflict that it has, because, you know, there's the nature spirits versus
4 point.
I mean, Ashitaka is the fulcrum.
No, he's not.
He's
He's the fuse. He's
Yeah.
not.
yeah, all right, yeah,
he's like the instigator.
yeah,
Yeah.
He is a random Serbian like assassin.
kind of. I mean, except a peace assassin who is there to judge things without the lens of hate.
Yeah. Oh, but you
But
know what I mean.
Eyes unclouded.
With eyes unclouded.
What a
I hate.
perfect line. By the
Yeah,
way.
which is
Great.
why they use it so much. But it is. But-
Send shiver up the spine.
But it, like, it's really a 3-point conflict that the protagonist is the monkey wrench in.
Yeah.
But
Man versus nature versus God.
No, it's
Man versus God.
man versus God, which is also, I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it is one of my favorites of all time because, like, I've seen it again for the first time in a really long time for this podcast. A couple days ago, I sat down and watched it.
Yes.
And like,
Good.
One of my top 5 video games of all time, maybe top 3, is Sekiro. And Sekiro is built around a very similar conflict of initially there is a isolationist community that is somewhat falling apart in conflict with the natural forces around them. And then separate from that, there is the Emperor sending agents to undermine and take control of this enclave that is not yet part of the what's the name of the Yamato Empire, because this is pre-unification Japan. Although Princess Mononoke doesn't like ever explicitly like it's
Terra, no.
Yeah, it's
No.
I mean, it doesn't ever.
It mentions that there is an emperor,
but it
mentions iron, so we're at least in the Iron Age.
But it doesn't explicitly say that it is Japan. It is a Japanese-inspired fantasy land.
Sure,
it could be.
It could be Japan, but it could also not be. It's ambiguous enough.
And well, I mean, I'm like the GeoGuessr guy, Rainbolt, but when it comes to mountains, those are Japanese mountains.
Those are absolutely
I'm just saying,
Japanese
those
mountains.
are Japanese. I could show you those mountains on Google Maps. Let's go.
If you can find the exact geography where Irontown is, I will accept. Yeah, this is.
Then we go.
Things have changed over hundreds of years.
But you could also take it as like a fantasy world that is very much inspired by Japan and just
it's Hyrule.
I love
Hyrule.
Japan. Period.
Hyrule, yeah. But I mean that, like, when I was watching it when I was younger, that was kind of a challenge for me because like more than
there are countries other than Canada.
No, more than I think any other Ghibli movie. When I was watching through the Ghibli canon as a teenager discovering it. This one, like, you gotta know your Japanese history to really understand the conflict at the heart of it.
Pretty sure middle school Miles, completely ignorant asshole that he was, totally fine.
Yeah, same.
I think like the deeper parts of the more you understand about like
Japanese culture or society, maybe, but I don't think the history is all that.
No, the history of the Yamato dominance of the islands and the slow eradication of every other tribal group within.
Sure, that is metatextual context that is really helpful for repeated viewings or for understanding it in the cultural context in which it was made and can be evaluated.
But you don't.
But
really
I don't think you need that to understand the movie, what the movie's saying, what it's going
not
for.
what it's saying. I'm saying the world building, and like
I don't think it's strictly necessary. I think everything in this movie that is relevant to that is implied.
Okay, well, maybe I'm just saying that because when I was a teenager, I didn't feel like as immersed in the world as some of the other Ghibli.
But you got more out of it now.
Yeah, and I got more out of it now as somebody who like understands the history and what it's commenting on, and those things are interesting. I'm not saying that they don't exist. I think this movie works. Like, this is one of the few films that I've been working in the anime world for like 15 years, right? Mm-hmm.
My parents don't care about anime, but I can get my dad to watch Princess Mononoke any day of the week, right?
Yeah.
And I think that part of that is because it is actually super accessible for being a movie that is so culturally Japanese. Like, how does that work? How do you make a movie that speaks to a culture that, my dad has zero real familiarity with, and still have him feel this deep level of empathy with not the characters even, because that's an easier thing for, I think, people to, you can always relate to other human beings if they're just portrayed in a thoughtful way. But he's able
Wings
to
of Oniamiz proves that perfectly.
Absolutely. But he was able to feel for the culture, like, and when he talks about the movie, it's like, oh, you kind of get it. Like, you understand this society and the plights that they are going through.
Yeah.
The plights that they're going through.
Plights.
That's not a real thing, but I'll live with it. Why did you want to talk about this movie right now?
Why did I want to talk about it?
Why Princess Mononoke at this point? Because we started off going through our like top favorites.
Yeah.
But now we're kind of just going loosey-goosey and picking whatever we feel like. what made you feel like Princess Mononoke was a good one to talk about right now?
For the exact same reason that I feel like I already specified, because of how important it was to get me into anime.
Foundational.
Specifically. But I mean, like, we've gone through a lot of reasons of why it's like really, really good. But one of the other reasons that I want to say that it's really, really good is a thing that I've mentioned a lot on this podcast already is how many times I've rewatched a particular show. And then I follow up by specifying how many times I've watched it subbed and dubbed. I have never watched Princess Mononoke subbed.
Interesting.
I mean, Billy Bob Thornton is a really compelling reason.
Well, also, Mini Driver Zuboshi is absolutely
Mini Driver
great.
is so good.
Yeah, I mean, that accent.
And I mean, like, I love Gillian Anderson a lot, but like, I only recently realized that Gillian Anderson
Well, here's my big
was
problem with
actually Morrow. But
well, my biggest problem is we also don't get to see her.
Yeah.
I like to see Gillian Anderson all the time.
yeah, true.
But I was in the same boat as you for a long time. And I normally watch my anime subtitled. I
Normally,
like to watch it in the
like
language.
90, probably 8% of all anime I watch it in subtitles.
But I realized I had watched this movie a dozen times and never seen the subtitle. I watched it. I think this is too important of a movie to me in my life to be able to be objective about it. But also the dub is so good that's where I'm going to watch it again for the rest of my life. Both are great though.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm trying to think, like, all of the Ghibli dubs from Disney are pretty. I mean, that one was Miramax, but you know, same difference.
Was it a Disney company at that point? I think so.
Miramax is owned by Disney. Yeah.
It was punted over to Miramax because Disney didn't want to deal with it.
Because it was they could not spirit it away that at all. But like, I'd say it's, you know, if I'm talking about the Disney dubs,
it's the best Disney dub.
It's my favorite anime dub.
It's really good. It's really good. There's like not a single character who feels out of place. Like Billy Bob Thornton seems like he might, like,
he should be.
He should be like he's not putting on a voice at all.
No.
He's not even putting on his usual Billy Bob Thornton voice.
But he doesn't need it.
He doesn't. But like it's so perfect for Jigo.
It fits. He's Jigo,
and like
that's the reason why I don't think I could watch the sub, because for a lot of the characters there, I think I could get away with it. But as soon as Jigo starts talking, if it's not Billy Bob Thornton, I will be pulled out.
Those lines are just immortal in my ears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just how subtle and softly he speaks when he's just sharing soup with Ashitaka, and it's just that. And then when you slowly, like, for his character, when you slowly realize how much a piece of shit his character actually is. Like, you don't get that at the start because you think, he's sharing soup. He's a nice guy. He's trying to help him out. And it's like, yeah, he's trying to help him out.
He's
for reasons.
He is a placid lake with the depth of a terrible ocean underneath. And like it's such a incredible performance. Like you think he's, you think he's just not going that hard, but then it's like, oh, he's hiding everything from everyone.
And he has so many good lines. And even though my favorite line of his is just, whoa! During the end, during like the running away scene. When
I know exactly.
Yeah, that's really good.
No, but he has a lot of really good lines.
How evocative this movie is you say the moment and it's so picture perfect in my mind.
You know it.
So one thing that's interesting about this movie to me, and it kind of
one of many things,
reflects on something that I've talked about before, is when I was younger, I did not like how big the scope of this movie was. I was I loved the first half of the movie, where it's Ashitaka's more personal journey and San's more personal, like, revenge story.
But then once you started getting more into like
Irontown, like her, like I cared about.
So you like Irontown.
But then you find out that it's the entire like geopolitical situation of Japan being decided in one valley,
and also just the spirit forest.
The future of all spirits across the land.
And it becomes a little too big, and even like the climax of the movie with the spirit of the forest, and like becomes this gigantic, Godzilla shaped, if you want to go there, entity. And I'm like, well, this is so big. There's all these. This is like an ecological disaster of tremendous scale, and I really liked it being a more personal story about this one man in exile dealing with the curse, like thinking about the boar and the wolves and what they are going through. And I've come around on this because it's all necessary. So again, it's not like it wasn't like one of my favorite things of all time when I was feeling this way, but I really do like smaller scale stories, typically speaking, and this does still get a little big for what I normally would like, but I think what sells me on it now and why I've kind of come around on this movie and like maybe even like it more than I did when I was a kid is it feels so necessary to get the message across. There are a lot of messages in this movie,
There are a lot of
right?
messages.
But the fundamental environmental message of nothing there, you can't be one extreme or another. You can't act out of hate. You can't act out of malice. You can't act out of defensiveness. You can't act out of like any reactionary feeling that you may have.
Mm-hmm.
You need to find a way for Irontown and the forest to live in harmony.
And that's what I really like.
Imperfect though it may be, it's necessary. Both exist.
Yes.
We are all a part of the same world, and we have to find a way to coexist. And you cannot exist outside of the world. And that's Ashitaka is that part of it because he comes from that isolationist community and is an outcast from even his own community, and like it frames him as alone. And by the end, he is part of everything.
Loved.
He's loved by an entire town and its people, and a very hot wolf girl.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
But that's what I really liked about it because like Miyazaki does have the reputation of being like 60s.
Tear it all
hippie.
down. Yeah.
Like that sort of thing. But then you have Irontown that exists. And while Lady Eboshi is brought up kind of as the villain, even though Jigo exists as well, Irontown removed from Lady Eboshi kind of is portrayed as humans and, well, yeah.
How can you remove it from Lady Eboshi?
You can.
You
Well,
can't.
you can. You can.
You can't. I think that's
Everything
ignorant.
within
That's ignorant.
everything within Irontown,
Mhm.
like all the women running the bellows, all of the leopards in the back.
We love
like,
them all.
We do love them all, and that's like I'm removing Lady Eboshi just because she's kind of her own separate thing. But like Irontown can exist, and what's the best way of putting this? So, despite that Miyazaki has the reputation of being a little bit more
Radical.
yes, and you could look, and many people have looked at like Princess Mononoke as like this kind of like environmental, please stop blowing up the forest is important, yada yada yada. But also there is enough here in the film that's like, well, Irontown is also important for a lot of reasons.
I
You can't just blow up Irontown and then be like everything is solved. It's not. If anything, that makes it worse. So yeah.
No, I think Princess Mononoke reads to me as Miyazaki reflecting on his radicalism, and like San is the embodiment of his militant radicalism. And
because she starts off, we're going to burn down Irontown, we're going to kill Lady Eboshi.
And Lady Eboshi is the embodiment of his pragmatism, his survival instinct, the person who he has become throughout all of the compromises that he has had to make to protect himself and his people and his art in the iron that they produce being a metaphor for the anime produced by Studio Ghibli.
What is Moro in this metaphor?
Mora,
Just as
Takahata.
no, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, honestly. Yeah, no, that's and then Jigo, and by an extent the
Suzuki.
Suzuki, yeah, the corruptive influences of the capitalist society, or the
Sure. I mean, I'm joking, but also like,
Yeah.
I'm mostly joking.
You're mostly joking.
But I mean, even Jigo does come around at the end, because it's like, bro, you're literally gonna die if you don't give that head back. And he's like, yeah, fine. And he is the one who won. But
he's gonna give me a pardon.
I'm not.
I've been pardoned by the emperor.
I mean, the pardons
That
just.
was a good Billy Bob.
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually quite impressive. You really,
Whoa!
you really do have this movie just embedded in your soul, huh? And all of his lines.
So yeah, when we were talking about this, normally we want to rewatch stuff.
I did not. I don't need to. Didn't need to.
It feels rude to rewatch this. Like I will rewatch
It was in fairness, it was like last fall when I rewatched. sometime last year because G-Kids threw it in theaters and I got to watch it. It's currently in IMAX in some places. But like,
Why aren't we in North America right now? Sorry.
I mean, I will be in a couple days.
Bastard.
as will I.
Bastard.
But by the time we get back, it'll probably be out, unfortunately. But whatever.
Bastards.
But no, I didn't need to rewatch it. Did not need to. Just like if you guys wanted to sit down and immediately talk about Laputa, I could.
Yeah,
Don't need
me
to
too.
rewatch it. Not at all. We're not going to.
I don't
but
want
we
to
could.
rewatch it.
I want to rewatch it at every conceivable opportunity.
There is only one anime I will never not rewatch. So even if we do an episode on it, I refuse to rewatch
Grave
it.
of the Fireflies?
Precisely.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm not doing it.
We're going to do all the Ghiblies, I think.
Why?
I mean, that is something that I did want to talk about.
Yeah.
Because anytime I make a list, it doesn't really matter what it is for, I usually put a restriction on one anime per thing. Whether that's, okay, I can't fill this list with Miyazaki films because otherwise that would be probably the majority of the list. So I would only then pick one Miyazaki or something like that. But I don't know how we want to do that for our list of the 100 anime of all time because there is a good
If
chance.
it's the best, it's the best.
If it's the best, it's the best.
So if
then on that
Mamoru makes
question-
up like 10% of the list, like who's going to be really mad about that? Certainly not Mamoru Oshii.
I know.
I mean, Ghost in the Shell,
Pat Labors.
I mean, I think we're going to have to condense Ghost in the Shell 1 and 2 and Pat Labor,
Ooh.
the OVA series.
No.
No, separately.
No.
Into-
You're going to put Innocence in the same breath that just Ghost in the Shell?
Oh, yeah, no,
what
you're
are
right.
you talking
you're
about?
You're right. Okay, both Ghosts in the Shells go separately, but the Pat Labor
And they both
OVAs
go on
might
the
have to
list.
go together.
Yeah, sure.
And if those
and
are
then-
on the list,
and
and if
those-
those are on the list,
and
Standalone Complex is on the list.
I don't have a problem with that.
Good.
And it is my understanding that Beautiful Dreamer is probably
Beautiful Dream. is
Once
on
you
the
guys watch it, I don't have a doubt. An
But,
Angel's
like,
Egg.
list. Yeah, but
Now,
generally my point
up
is,
on Bonsai, that's a bigger issue. I don't
but
think I
generally
convinced
my
you guys on
point
that
is
necessarily.
just like, are we going to be okay if like a whole fourth of this entire list is just Oshii, Miyazaki, Kon, Kawajiri? Like,
Why
are we
not?
okay with that?
I'm personally okay with that. I mean,
So then why wouldn't we then have an episode on virtually every Miyazaki film?
I guess we could.
That's the thing.
I mean, even the one that
Like
I
some of-
know you don't want to do an entire episode on, and
Spirited
you also
Away.
don't want to do an
We're not
entire
doing Spirited
episode.
Away.
I think
We're gonna kill Quest Spirited Away.
Oh, we're not.
I
Yes,
think
we are.
I
We can
think
just talk about Spirited Away.
I think that Kill
It's a
Quest
lovely
has to
movie.
be an entire. I think it has to be an entire.
We also needed
episode.
We need a guest for that one. We need to have a real Spirited Away fan,
Defender, yeah,
which is
yeah.
called every human being alive who's seen Spirited Away who's not at this table right now.
Yeah, I mean, I could even be
You know
the
what?
Oscar.
Fine. We won't kill
man
Quest Spirited
to-
Away. But if we don't kill Quest Spirited Away, we're kill questing Howl's Moving Castle.
No,
Yes.
You're gonna get murdered by everybody behind the camera right now.
Well, that's fine.
listen,
Because I've read the book.
listen.
Thank you.
As someone who's read the book and watched the movie and loves the movie way more than it deserves.
Okay.
To be clear,
The movie deserves it.
the movie is saying, "Hey, I'm
Movie's
going
fine.
to tickle your creativity. I'm going to tickle your sense of adventure. I'm going to tickle your sense of wonder, and then I'm going to make a narratively incoherent mess for the next 2 hours.
No,
Sign me up every day of the week.
Yeah.
I will watch it. I will rewatch.
I will tell you what the movie's saying right now. The movie is saying they should have. The movie is saying America should have stayed out of Iraq.
We did make it one episode without a 9/11 reference. I guess that's a good thing.
Actually, you made the 9/11 reference. I was talking about the post 9/11 era
Because of
which started because of
9/11.
because of 9/11.
the post what era?
I just said Iraq. I didn't say 9/11. I was going to. If you gave me another minute, I was going to. But thank you for giving the people at home their drink of the evening.
You know, I think it's very interesting how. No, it's not actually that interesting. Why do
Bravo.
we keep bringing up 9/11 on a podcast about anime?
Because we're trying really hard not to think about it.
Hey,
Yeah.
Geoff, so just like we did with JoJo's part, should you watch different chapters on the DVD of Princess Mononoke out of order?
What?
Should you watch the movie out of order?
You know, a memento cut
I'm trying to be a jerk.
You are
Geoff.
trying to be a jerk, but I think a memento cut of Princess Mononoke could go pretty hard as like a second or third watch.
Okay. For the sake of both myself and whoever is listening, what the hell are we talking about?
We're cutting all this anyway.
No, we're not.
Let's
we're
go back.
finally talking about Mononoke again. We're not cutting this.
Let's
what
go
are
back
we doing?
to Mononoke.
No, he was making a joke about.
I was making a JoJo's
when
part
I
joke,
made
yeah.
my "You should skip JoJo parts" video.
Yeah, we got
I
canceled.
had a machete cut order that I thought would be interesting for people to watch, and it is legitimately good
video and thought exercise.
Yeah, and I'm like, I stand by that order, which is why I put it on the box of my U2's figurine as a little Easter egg. But so
Princess Mononoke is certainly going to make the list. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think quite a bit of the best anime of all time is going to be found from Studio Ghibli, specifically from Miyazaki.
Mm-hmm. And at least a couple from Takahata.
I think so. No, I mean, but that's not what we're talking about today, but absolutely, certainly.
I also would love to do like Cat Returns and Whisper of the Heart, personally.
And if we're doing every Ghibli, we should do an episode, just a hate episode about Earthsea.
You can hate Earthsea if you want.
And the thing is,
I don't.
We're going to...
How?
I also enjoy Earthsea. You're just... you don't like fun.
No. Because the difference... Okay, so here. The difference. So someone's probably going to look at me and be like, hey, why are you okay with Earthsea? Even though I've read Earthsea, but I'm not okay with Howl despite the fact... Well, because of the fact that I've read Howl.
Clear contradiction.
Is because Howl's Moving Castle tried to rip off Howl's Moving Castle. Earthsea is not Ursula Le Guin's Earthsea.
At all.
At all. So that's
Not
why
even
I'm
a little
fine
bit.
with it. That is why I am fine with it.
But I mean, also, like, even if you're not looking for the Earthsea adaptation and you're like not bothered by the fact that it's like the most egregious race swapping of maybe any fantasy adaptation that has ever existed, they're all supposed to be black.
They are.
Oh.
Earthsea's really good. You should read the Earthsea books.
This is why it's not Earthsea.
Yeah, no, it's super not Earthsea. Like,
so the worst part of the Ghibli Earthsea movie is the fact that it's called Earthsea. Other than that, I actually am okay with it as a film.
I see. The thing is, even if you decouple that, I think it's like pretty sloppy, like some of the most sloppy fantasy slop that has come out of the anime industry. And
how
it is
many
fun.
isekai have you watched in the last 2 years? Jeff? How can you
It
say
is
that?
sloppier than like
No, it is not.
60% of isekai.
I'm not saying
I
it's
don't
great.
see a single smartphone or like level status indicator. There's like very few.
Okay,
Look,
but
I'm
what
not
I
saying-
see is like every cliche from across every 80s pulp fantasy
Yeah, when I
book
watched
that was
In
ever
Another
on.
World with my smartphone, I was so engaged with how different the girls were, and I've never seen any of those archetypes before in Japanese animation. It was so nice. Smartphone season 2 for the win.
Man, you know what's really cool in Earthsea when they go into the castle and there's the dragon? Like literally, you could recreate all of Earthsea in the Skyrim engine.
Do you know what you sound like right now? Someone decrying Monster of the Week. A new monster every week? Like, please.
Not only that, but you literally could be describing Lodos.
Yeah, but Lodos.
There's a dragon in the castle? Holy shit.
No, there's a dragon in a dungeon in the first episode.
Oh,
which is
do you know what those two things have in common? Dragons and dungeons?
Yes, I do.
Quite a bit.
But what I'm saying, like, Earthsea is also, I just really don't like how the story is told. And
it's not great.
The characters.
I just think it's fine. It's just a fine piece of entertainment.
To clarify, if I am ranking like all of the Ghibli films ever, Earthsea is probably near the bottom, just above Spirited Away. But
Tristan, that's a lie. First of all, we have done Ghibli rankings between the three of us before, and you were rude, but that was crass. Like, we have to bleep that out, dude.
we all put Earthsea on the bottom, I'm pretty sure, but only because I don't think any of us have seen Earwig and the Witch.
Yeah, I mean, I
haven't.
Sure,
actually.
yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, but also, like, buddy, they're gonna like hold you up at customs, and you are never making it back to Canada. You just committed a war crime there. I'm in agreement with on Earthsea, I am, even though I've seen later Goro Miyazaki movies that are
really good.
Actually quite good.
Poppy Hill is really
Poppy
good.
Hill is excellent.
Well,
but
Poppy Hill's good.
No. So the problem with Poppy Hill is that the senior Miyazaki stepped in a very, very big way after seeing that movie in its earlier drafts, where in Earthsea, he's like, you go ahead, you make your failure.
And but here's the thing. Earthsea, fundamentally, I agree with Hayao Miyazaki's take on Earthsea when he saw it at the premiere for the first time, which is he walked out and he said, because he's always got a cigarette in his mouth.
Anime is a mistake.
It's good that he made one movie. With that, he should stop. That is a quote.
Do you want me to pull
from
out
that man about his own son?
Do you want me to pull out Oshi quotes about Princess Mononoke and about like Miyazaki in general? Come on.
I'd love to hear some of those actually.
We'll save this for another time because Princess Mononoke, I think Oshi had the least to say about. But let's just say that while Oshi was very generous towards films like Royal Space Force, Miyazaki's films are a little more contentious within the weirdo anime director circuit.
I think that makes sense. It makes a lot of sense because nobody hates communists more than other communists.
Just so we're not scaring off people forever, we're not just going to be doing Ghibli films from now on.
Oh, yeah. No, we're going to spread them out
over the next 5 years.
As a little treat. As a little
Every
treat.
once in a while.
But this is a great one to start with because it is one of the best. It is the one where we are all in agreement the most. Maybe that's not the best place to start because I don't like Castle in the Sky. I don't like that either.
We should have a fight about Castle in the Sky within the next 6 months.
You're allowed to be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
know.
the purpose of this podcast.
And
We're all allowed to be wrong.
And I sometimes take that permission and run wild with it. This is not one of those occasions.
Next time we're together in person, we should have a fight about Castle in the Sky, though. I think that would be a good episode.
Your guys' heads are in the clouds, so I don't know if you'll be able to fight me.
Literally in the clouds. Where Laputa is.
Yeah, we'll just drop ancient...
That was a joke.
I know.
That was a joke, Tristan.
I know.
And we're going to drop an ancient super weapon on your ass.
How is that compelling media? And then you're like, there's a dragon in a dungeon, and you're like, that's boring. But
except when it's in Delicious.
I didn't say there's a dragon in a dungeon and it's boring. I'm saying there's like a castle town where it's like, oh, hey, there's a castle town.
I love castle towns.
It's the most generic castle town and the most generic dragon and the most generic...
When I watch Konosuba and I see the circle town, I'm like, wow, Isekai is really knocking out of the park with the originality these days.
It's literally the joke in Konosuba. One of many.
Besides, like, the show itself.
The entire show.
The show
yeah.
So the circle town, Konosuba is one of the earliest instances of the circle town. I think it's like the second or the third in anime.
In anime, but if we're talking about light novels, I'm sure there have been...
They don't draw the towns in light novels. They only draw the anime girls.
Maybe we're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe the circle town is just... But also, if it's one of the first ones... I mean, the circle town just does kind of make sense as like a generic medieval
Yes, I have been
situation.
to Germany.
Yeah.
Was there anything significant we needed to talk about Princess Mononoke?
Probably. Nothing that we wouldn't probably spend like another hour or two.
Yeah, I mean,
we can talk about the soundtrack again. I always like talking about the soundtracks of these movies.
Well, I mean, okay, then that'll be my only thing. It's like you spent a lot of time talking about how like one of your favorite action scenes ever, and I absolutely agree. But the reason why I don't think I personally liked that scene as much as maybe you do is because the entire intro with the boar and especially the music, that is one of the best freaking...
That is amazing.
That is probably one of my favorite musical tracks in all of Ghibli. In all of Ghibli.
Yeah, no.
That scene.
Well, so as an adult, I enjoy that more than the scene I mentioned earlier with the Ronin. I'm talking about
pure teenager seeing crazy animated
you
shit
can do this in cartoons?
Mm-hmm,
what the hell? So that's where that's going from.
Yeah,
See, and I mean, I like that opening scene with the boar is amazing. Like, to me, like the finale of the movie, though, like the whole when the battle breaks out
and when Enya's just like going crazy in the background.
That too. But when Ashitaka is like running,
it's not really Enya, by the way.
He's when
it's joke.
is joke. I understand.
No. This is Mari from Love Live. Eats joke. Come on.
But yeah, when actually, I haven't seen that Love Live.
Sunshine.
Oh wait, Sunshine? Yeah, no, I haven't seen Sunshine. I know it's the best one, and I got it.
It sure is.
I've seen.
Say what you were going to say about Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, Superstar. I've seen. I like Superstar. But the ending scene connects to that battle scene in a really fantastic way when he's running across the mountaintops on Yakul. And it gets the arrow in the flank, and he's got to get down and defend himself from the approaching samurai. There's this incredible moment of like magic system explanation and world building, like purely visual, where he fires off an arrow and it doesn't take a guy's head off because he is internally letting go of his hate, and he is really like he's moving past the curse even without the help of the forest spirit. He has managed to overcome that malignant force, and he shoots an arrow at the guy and it just pings off his helmet. And then he has to like intentionally stoke up the fire of hate again to be able to defend himself. And
so sick.
It's sick. It's also like a great rumination on how like, while that is a horrible, corrosive influence that destroys people, when you are...
Being a hater is good sometimes.
Being a hater is good sometimes. That is the
we would know.
Spiritual point of Princess Mononoke, I think, is that you should be a hater at least some of the time.
Hayao
Miyazaki, the world's greatest hater, even of his own son.
Specifically of his own son.
So where would this go on the list?
Top 20, top 30.
Easy.
Yeah.
Top quarter of the list.
Yeah, top quarter, I think, for me too. Like I said, it's my
highest. I think it's going to be the collective highest film from Miyazaki, because I suspect,
because we all agree that even though like we really love Laputa,
yeah,
you don't like Laputa as much as us collectively like Mononoke.
Right. And I fear that Porco Rosso you're going to enjoy, but not.
Porco Rosso may become.
Yeah. If it takes the spot here, I don't.
There's
mind.
a reason why I haven't watched it.
I think Porco Rosso might.
There's a reason why I
favorite.
haven't watched it.
Yeah.
I'm still surprised it's yours. You normally don't have that good of taste.
What is with you? Just
goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Next time on Quest for the Best, ReZero.